Ready, hot!
Well, there's still a lot of questions about your brother Mike out there. Are you happy with your staff right now? Are you looking at any changes there?
I am happy with my staff. You know, it's fair to say throughout the country with all the coaching changes, anything can happen. You never know. So, but, you know, so we'll see.
The way Landry's season wrapped up, you know, statistically not too good, dropped a couple balls, things like that. Is there any chance Josh would move to the sideline again to, you know, as the play caller, or maybe Jay helps out upstairs? Or
That's something that we would, I'm sure that's something that they can talk about, you know, and will, you know, but again, I don't know that that's why a guy, you know, those things happen.
the reason I brought it up is you guys had said several times in the past that it's good to be able to look a quarterback in the eye and get interaction with him, and I just thought, you know, he didn't have quite the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth considering.
That no touchdowns the last 3 games for him stat gets thrown out a lot. What do you attribute that to that you saw?
Well, again, you know, some of it's execution, some of it's, you know, the run game in some instances worked well. Some of it, you know, we're without Ryan, you're without some big play guys that sometimes make those plays, or a play that instead of getting caught somewhere, you know, in the red zone, gets it all the way in. You know, there's, you know, some of it's, you know, defense did a good job. We didn't, you know, in the Oklahoma State game, we didn't have many opportunities down there. So, you know, that's part of it too, in that game at least. The game before, I mean, there's a 50-mile-per-hour wind, and we ran the ball well and scored anyway. So it isn't, you know, that part, when you win like that, I don't think matters. Oklahoma State, they defensed us. We didn't even get the ball down there where you have much opportunities other than getting a big play. Our bigger play guys are out of the game.
So it's not necessarily an indictment of his play. I mean, if you throw in the drops and the win for the Iowa State game.
Well, I don't. You guys make it what you want. In the end, I'm talking to you about some of the reasons why. So, I think the game before he threw for over 400 yards, right? So, he didn't do a good job just because for whatever reason he didn't throw it in the end zone, you know, in the Baylor game. So, that's I don't look at it that way. Again, he's had some of his major targets taken away from him, you know, that aren't out there. So I think that's part of it too.
He's a team captain, and I know he's a team first guy and all that stuff. When he comes off the field and Blake comes in and gets the touchdown, does that mess with a quarterback? Because a quarterback, you know how quarterbacks are. Quarterbacks are quarterbacks. They like.
He's fired up to get the ball in the end zone, and in all likelihood he's going to turn and hand it to someone else to put it in anyway. So, no, that isn't an issue.
I was wondering if maybe that's going to affect his decision to stay or leave.
No.
Is a lot of questions going into this: personnel, injuries, depth at certain positions, motivation. Really not a question though with quarterback. I mean, you know Landry's going to go, and you're pretty sure how he's going to play. How much of a comfort or assurance is that on how you'll play, knowing you got a quarterback you can count on?
Well, it matters. You know, we've got great faith in Landry, and you know, so it gives you a lot of confidence. But I know too that guy, you know, without support, you know, can't do it. And you know, you got to catch the ball. You can't have drops. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to, you know, guys have to be able to get open and execute. Guys have to protect them. So a lot of things around that guy have to go in a positive way too. But you know, when they do, he's a guy that, again, we feel great about.
Is the drops? Does that give you any pause to tinker a little bit with what you've been doing? Would you consider running more? In other words, just because of the drop problem, which has been a 3 or 4 game.
Well, again, I always believe in, you know, you're at your best when you have an effective running game, and when you're, you know, I believe it sets up the other, you know, in a good way. So, yes, you know, we need to be able to run the ball effectively.
You mentioned protection. You guys were one of the top in the country allowing sacks. The last game, though, they got 3 and changed some things up. How much of it was their scheme and how much of it was just execution?
Well, again, what they did was nothing out of the ordinary, and so I look at it as execution. A busted assignment on the one that he fumbles the ball and they get a touchdown. The running back busted. So, I look at it as our execution.
You played Jefferson at safety against OSU. The secondary really didn't give up big plays. Looked like they had a fairly good game on this day. Did you like that setup? What did you think about Jefferson's performance?
Yeah, Tony did a good job and has done well, in that position. So, it's something that we can always do. Every team's a little different in the personnel groupings they put on the field and the style they play. But he does do a good job back there.
When you step back from it all in the season, you look at the season as a whole and the issues you had in the secondary, is it something that you feel like is correctable going into, the bowl game, or is that something personnel-wise you're going to have to get?
Well, I think always it's a little of both. Personnel issues you have to work through, and what we're asking them to do as well. So I think, as we move forward, we're looking at both. And again, I think at different teams and the way they play, in college ball and in our league, it can be quite different from game to game, in the style of play and how they're really trying to attack you. So we're looking at it.
Does it make you question your schemes a little bit when it does happen against
Sure,
certain teams and certain
but
styles?
yeah, schemes and personnel are always two issues that you're constantly critiquing and analyzing.
Is that something over the years that it's always kind of shifted your philosophy there?
Well, it's fair to say through the years we've been back and forth in what we do more of or less of, and how we, and defensively and what we try and do. We're constantly doing that.
Speaking of DBs in Oklahoma State, Jamel Fleming went from boundary to guarding.
No, he
Blackman.
just played on one side of the field.
He got a lot of action against Blackman, though, I guess.
Yeah, but it was
Because of where
just
the line
left and right as opposed to boundary and field.
What was the thinking there? Why you did that?
Well, I'd leave that to us rather than to say why.
How do you feel like he did?
He did well. I thought he had a pretty good game.
Justin had like 9 catches, but only like 90-something yards, I think. So it seemed like he was.
Well, he wasn't on them all the time. At all. Sometimes he was inside, sometimes he was on the other side. So Jamel just played on our left side.
Seemed like they started out with him outside, and then when they saw Fleming on him at one-on-one or whatever.
Every game they move him around a little bit.
Okay.
I've heard you guys talk about ending the season in a positive way and all that. What is the value of a win in this game in terms of sort of erasing whatever feelings have been around you the last couple of weeks and things like that?
Well, it doesn't erase anything, but you feel good about winning, again, another bowl game. You feel good about winning your 10th game, this, that, and the other, but it still isn't going to give us a championship. So in the end, it's still a positive, though, to finish the year with a win. It's, it's always a good thing.